What's up everyone, my name is Zach and welcome back to my channel. And today I'm going to be reviewing one of my most anticipated releases of the year, which is Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. Oh, Ali Hazelwood and I go way back. I have read every single one of Ali Hazelwood's publications, including her novella collection. If you're interested in my thoughts about Ali Hazelwood's books, they do vary from book to book. I did a video recently where I rated and reviewed all of Ali Hazelwood's books. So if you're curious about my history and track record of Ali Hazelwood going into reviewing Check and Mate, I recommend you check out that video where I talk about my feelings about all of her books. As a whole, I think of Ali Hazelwood very positively, and I do really like most of her books. I've had a few complaints here and there, but I'm very excited to talk about Check and Mate. I do need to say thank you to Penguin Random House Audio for providing me with an early copy of the audio version of this book. This book releases on, let's make sure I get this date right, November 7th, at least here in the US. So yes, thank you to Penguin Random House for giving me a very exciting early copy of this book via audio. Before I get into talking about the content of the book, my thoughts about it, maybe where it fits into my rankings with other Ali Hazelwood books, I do want to say that the audio is very, very good. I feel like if you are worried about enjoying this book, or if you typically gravitate towards audio, like this audio production is really good. And I have found in the past that for me, when I read young adult books, sometimes the audio makes it even more cringy, or I don't like it. And then if I try to read it in print and I'm able to put my own voice to the words and my own interpretation, then I sometimes like the book better. But I will say in this case, like the audio is very, very good, and I recommend that you check that out. So let's talk about Check and Mate, which is Ali Hazelwood's debut YA novel, which made me really nervous because YA novels are very hit or miss for me these days, and in particular, YA romance is usually a miss. Just because it's not my age group, it's not my experience, like I'm sort of out of that part of my life, so I just don't connect with the characters usually, and that's a really important part of reading for me. So YA romance in particular has been more miss than not recently. I was very nervous going into this book, but I'm happy to report I really, really enjoyed this book, and I gave it 5 stars, which, if you're shocked, I'm even more shocked because, again, my track record with her is very up and down. As a whole, I really enjoy her books. But yeah, let's talk about Check and Mate and why I loved it so much. And hopefully through this video, I can help you decide if this book is worth your money or worth your time, or if you should get it from the library or what. So that's kind of my goal here, is to help you decide if it's going to be for you. So this is the story of Mallory, and she is a very talented chess player. However, because of some family struggles, she has stopped playing chess. At the start of the book, you don't really know why that she stopped playing chess, but you know that she has this very complicated relationship with chess. At the very, very opening of the book, she goes up against Nolan Sawyer, who's known as like the king killer because he's very, very good at chess. He also kind of has a bad attitude. If you think about tennis players who have gotten very famous for like throwing rackets and breaking them, that's kind of how Nolan is presented at the start of this novel. And our main character ends up playing him in the past tense at a chess tournament that she kind of gets drugged to by one of her friends who's about to go off to college, and was like, do this last thing for me before you go off to college. And so she goes to this tournament and she plays him in chess and she beats him, which is just like, it like breaks news agencies. Like everybody is like trying to figure out who this girl is and what just happened or whatever. So now, like, let's bring it to like what's happening with Mallory. Again, these are all, I forgot to mention, none of this is spoilers. These are all things that happen in the very beginning of the book, and it's just a very basic setup of what to expect going into the book. So none of it's spoilers. Mallory lives a very complicated home life. Her father is no longer around. You don't really know why, you don't know what happened, but you know that he has something to do with her relationship to chess, and you know that he is no longer around, and that has really impacted Mallory's life. So she lives in a house with her mom and either 2 or 3 sisters. I know there are at least 2 sisters because we get very acquainted with those 2, but I kind of think there might be 3 sisters. Well, I don't know. But I know 2 of them right off the bat. Sabrina and Darcy, you get very close with those 2 sisters. But something is like itching in the back of my mind that there might be a 3rd sister. I don't know. So her siblings and then her mom. And her mom has rheumatoid arthritis, and it has really impacted her ability to work and to parent. And so Mallory ends up picking up the slack a lot and helping out financially by working at this garage. So she's a mechanic, which was really, really cool to see a female character who is a mechanic. And she is kind of providing for her family when her mom has like really bad days and isn't able to work and to bring in as much money. I will say, like, somebody might think that this book is immature in regards to the amount of parenting that Mallory has to do and the amount of pressure financially that Mallory has on her. But as someone, I didn't have younger siblings, but as someone who was responsible for bringing in money into my household at an early age and who had to be financially responsible and to help my family in a very similar way, I really, really connected to Mallory as a main character. And I think it's important to know that my connection to Mallory really shaped my love for this book because a lot of her struggles were very similar to mine, and they were written very authentically and realistically. For example, one of Mallory's younger sisters plays roller derby, and you have to pay fees and fines in order to continue playing roller derby, and her sister acts like a brat about getting Mallory to pay those fines and is always on Mallory about when you're going to pay them, like I'm going to get kicked off the team. And her sister very much kind of looks like a brat. But when you take a step back and look at the family system, and if you've ever been in poverty or have experienced these things, like kids don't understand. All they know is like this thing that they want can get paid for and is not getting paid. They cannot conceptualize money as much as we want them to. Kids do not understand how hard it is to come up with the money and what other things have to get paid. So I really, really loved the way that Ali Hazelwood wrote the relationship between our main character, Mallory, and her sisters and her mom. Her mom feels very conflicted about the amount that Mallory is having to help and wants Mallory to be a kid, and yet Mallory is having to parent her siblings at times. And it was just very heartfelt in that way. So whereas this is the story of Mallory and Nolan and them getting acquainted with one another, it is a YA romance, we really intimately get to know Mallory as a main character. Like the first half of the book has nothing to do with Nolan. It's like he's very much in the backdrop. Like we are really spending time getting to know Mallory, what's going on in her life. And for me, that built a lot of importance and a lot of meaning behind why Mallory was doing the things that she was doing. And when her and Nolan, or Sawyer, because he kind of goes by both names interchangeably throughout the book, when they get acquainted and things happen, it puts so much more meaning on the way that things went down and why they went down the way that they did. So a lot of people might find this book slow paced. I would say that it is a slow burn romance, but for me, it built so much character development, and Ali Hazelwood did that so well. Ali Hazelwood for me is like the queen of banter. I love the like little witty jokes that she throws around here and there, and it really brought a lot of comedic relief to a topic that felt so close to home to me and was just so heartbreaking at times. So we're really getting acquainted with Mallory, and then, yeah, I don't want to spoil anything, but eventually Nolan comes back into the picture and she starts playing chess, and the story really takes off from there. And I don't really want to tell you anything else because I don't even know what the back of the book says. I haven't even read the back of the book. So maybe it tells you more than what I'm sharing, but I feel like I've set you up well telling you that there's this main character, Mallory, who has a very endearing life that you want to get to know and you want to get acquainted with. And this is a YA romance where you'll also get to know Nolan and his life and chess and how chess brings them together. And you also will get commentary about the history of chess. And that was one thing I was kind of worried about, is like, I don't know how to play chess. And I was like, well, am I going to understand what's happening? And I will say, like, if you do know how to play chess, there are things that you will get out of this novel that I and others who do not know how to play chess will not have gotten out of the novel. It did not disrupt my reading experience at all because Ali Hazelwood did a really good job of talking about chess moves, but then telling you like why those were meaningful or impactful. Like you didn't have to visualize a chessboard or understand why certain moves were being played, but knowing things about chess would definitely like give you like an added bonus, I guess. So I will say, all in all, I really was impressed by this. It made me laugh. It made me feel a lot of connection to a main character, which I was very surprised for it being a YA novel for me to feel that connected to a character. Like this book was just really meaningful and impactful for me. It made me laugh. I loved the like relationship between Nolan and Mallory. And there was definitely a few lines about Nolan being very tall. And if you've read any of Ali Hazelwood's books or you know anything about her work, like is almost laughable about the way that she describes men. But there was so much more depth to Nolan and so much more things to love about him and his character and his personality, which we really get to know a lot about. And I just was very fascinated about the way that Ali Hazelwood was able to tie so many things together in this novel. And it's just so good. I would say in terms of my favorite Ali Hazelwood novels, like this is definitely I think The Love Hypothesis is my favorite, but this might be like a close second. I don't know if it's like a recency bias or a recency effect. There was the one novella that I really loved too that was about grief, but I would say this is up in like the top 3. Like I really, really loved this book. Ali Hazelwood is coming out with another book in February that's like a paranormal werewolf story, and I have been dying to read this book. And reading Check and Mate has given me a lot more hope that the things that I was annoyed with when I read Love Theoretically have been like, she's figured out that she can write without needing to write the same character over and over again. Like she's learned that she can write in other ways. And I'm very excited to see her write a paranormal romance and kind of get out of this bubble, because at her core, I love her banter and her wittiness and her quirkiness, and the way that she writes romance feels very meaningful. So I hope that you have gotten something out of this video. You know a little bit about what Check and Mate is about. You know why I gave it 5 stars. So if there are things about that you're like, yes, that is for me, or there are things that are like, absolutely not. Hopefully you know now, like if you want to get this from the library or you want to buy this book, or if it's something that you can enjoy. I'm very, very pleased to say that this gives me a lot of hope for Ali Hazelwood's future of writing and my enjoyment, because I did not enjoy Love Theoretically. I have been thinking about going back and rereading it recently to see, now that I'm in a different headspace and I'm not as burned out on her writing the same character over and over, I may end up going back and rereading that, just because I really do love Ali Hazelwood's work. But yeah, I would love to know in the comments, like, if you plan to read this, if you do read it, what you think about it. Like, I welcome feedback. That's why I make these videos, because I hope that they will be helpful and beneficial to you. A very special thank you to the Mostly Ghostly crew who supports my channel every month through my channel membership. We have monthly hangouts. We have a book club where we buddy read books together. We have a separate section in the Discord, and they get to vote on content every month that I produce. So if you want to support my channel another way and be a part of those extra benefits, then the link in the description, and it's also the join button on YouTube. I also wanted to say a very special thank you to you for clicking on this video. If you haven't already, subscribing to my channel helps me out a ton, and a like on the video goes a long way. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Down, my head in my hands now. Play it back, I still can't seem to figure out when the rain came and we became a mosaic.